everyone. Todd Nauck here. Welcome to my YouTube channel and today's live art stream. So sorry I haven't been able to do much broadcasting here in the past, 5 or 6 weeks because of some crazy heavy deadlines. Working on some comics that are coming out this summer and some covers as well. So stay tuned to my social media where I'll be saying more about that. One of them being Cosmic Ghost Rider #6. I can definitely say that one because it's already been solicited. So look for Cosmic Ghost Rider Destroys Marvel History issue 6 coming up a little bit later this summer. So I'm going to be at San Diego Comic-Con July 17th through 21st. And on the night of the 17th, my former Invincible Universe colorist, Gabe El-Taib, good friend, is hosting another one of his comic kickoff parties for to raise money for the Hero Initiative. So we're all the artists invited, myself, Norm Ratman, Philip Jones, Gabe El-Taib, and a couple other people. I'm so sorry, I'm blanking on their names. Sorry, guys. We'll all be there, and we'll each have done 4 illustrations that will be raffled off. So there'll be prizes, raffled off prizes from Dark Horse and I think a video game company, other stuff. So it'll all be online, and I'll have more info on that on my social media as well. But I need to draw up these 4 illustrations, so I wanted to invite y'all to join me as I drew the first illustration. So I'm going to do a headshot of Gambit. So enough jibba jabba. Let me flip the camera around and let's get to drawing. All right, let me readjust the rig here, and I'll try to answer questions while I draw. And but not sure how many I can tackle while I draw, but I'll do the best I can. Make sure we're in focus there. All right, let's push in a little farther here. Okay, so this is a piece of Strathmore Bristol board that they sent me. And what media am I going to use for this? I'll be starting with an HB lead pencil. This is a Pentel Twist Erase 0.5 HB lead pencil. Then I'm going to bring in some Pigma Micron pens to ink with, and then I'll be coloring this with Copic markers. So let's just start roughing in some shapes here. Whoops, that piece of lead just launched right out. I think this one's out of lead. We'll just switch over to the Uniball Signo. So just going to start off with my basic circle first. And come in and bring in the jawline to chin. Just the basic shapes. I like to work out the basic shapes first. Just kind of map things out. Drop in the ears here. Eye line, nose line, mouth line. Almond shapes for the eyes here, just to get things started. Arc in some eyebrows here. How long does it usually take me to ink one comic page? I can do on average about a page to 2 pages a day, and that's working an 8 to 14 hour day depending on what's going on the page. Working his headgear there. See, the hairline would probably start right about there. Get the bridge of his nose going. Now, all the shapes I drop in here are not necessarily every shape I'm going to ink, but it helps me know the construction of the face, so that when I go into ink, I know what shapes I want to translate with my lines. Thoughts on Endgame? Avengers Endgame? Loved it. Thought it was a great movie. Really, really enjoyed it. Might try to go watch it in its re-release as well. Neck muscles here. Got the tip of the nose, the nostrils on each side, that little philtrum there, that little trough between our nose and our upper lip. Maybe give him a little smirk here. I'm going to give him that thieves smirk there. Okay, now I got to figure out his hair. Just a sec here. Let's see, get his jacket going. We'll give him his overcoat. So the big collar there. Sorry I'm not able to catch too many of your questions right now. I'm doing a lot of focus here on the construction of his of the figure. So some of the longer questions are a little tough to catch, but I do appreciate y'all posting. Maybe we'll have time for a little bit of a Q&A at the end of the broadcast, where I can put a little more focus onto your questions. So when a lot of people ask about drawing hair, and one thing you want to make sure you know exactly where the top of your head is. That's why we draw this circle, because you want to make sure that the hair covers the complete head, because if you don't know where the top of the head is and you draw the hair in too low, it's going to not look like he has a full skull underneath. So you got to keep that in mind. Do I like Star Wars? Absolutely I do. So then when I figure out where the hairline is, and the hairline is usually halfway from the eye to the top of the head, eye line to the top of the head, and that's just the basic where a hairline can start. You can move that back depending on how receding the hairline is, but generally you can start at the halfway from the top of the head to the eye, and then I pull around. I create these chunks, these shapes, these graphic shapes, and then I add lines to it in that arcing motion. Now this has taken a lot of practice to kind of get this flow down, to train my hand to do that. So keep at it. You got to keep doing it again and again and again. It doesn't rarely do things like this happen overnight. You really have to keep at it, keep practicing. I think I want to arc the hair around this way. It's kind of flipping out a little far out to the side there. It looks a little bit too much like Impulse's hairstyle, and that's not what I want. So I'm going to arc it the other way. This is why we rough things in, so we can make these edits as we go. Make it look less like Impulse, more like Gambit. Okay. Tighten this ear up a little bit more. Really want to arc those out. Get out of the way. Multi-liners, it's not time for you yet. Really want to arc that eyebrow more. Now I start to tighten up all the shapes. Just a little bit more. It's like a series of making things tighter and tighter and tighter as you go. Getting the details where you want them to be bit by bit. And always allowing yourself that freedom to change things up as you go, like I did with the hair, to get it as close to where you want it to be as possible. And I allow myself that freedom to make changes as I go, so that I can not get too frustrated if things don't, if I have my expectations set too rigidly, then it's going to bring me far more frustration. But if I'm more easygoing about it and let myself kind of experience the journey of the illustration, make the changes where necessary, like adding more hair there, I'm free to do that. I'm going to Bob Ross this, Happy little strands of hair. Make the changes as I go. Let it happen. It's okay to edit as we go. And see what comes about. See, I want to establish where the black parts of his headgear are, and these little X's show where I'm going to fill in black. That's just a note to me. Fill this spot in black. Now for under the chin, considering where the neck muscles are, pulling down to that place, that section right in between those bones, like the shoulder bones where they meet in the middle. It's the clavicle there. Gonna want to keep that in mind. And then the striations of the neck muscles. This will just be a headshot, gang. We're almost done with the pencil stage, the pencil sketch stage. Penciling this pretty rough because I will be coming in with the inks here. I want to work in the pupils and the irises. I want to get that smolder in here. We're going to bring the smolder, people. Tangled style, get ready for the smolder. Got the black. The white parts of his eyes are black, and the pupils are, or the irises are red, and the pupils black. Square off that chin and that jaw a little bit more. Then we're going to have some stubble here. I love drawing stubble. Stubble is so much fun to draw. Mentioned it in other videos. I think it bears mentioning here in this video as well. Stubble isn't just a bunch of little random lines everywhere. At least, not for me. I consider the shape of the chin, and I have the stubble arc around it to show the mass and the form of the chin, of the bone of the chin. So keep that in mind when you're doing your stubble or arm hair. Don't just throw random lines down everywhere. Consider how you can make it show the mass of the body that you're illustrating. And it will really bring more power and shape to your figure, from my experience. A lot of this facial sculpting will come about with the color as well. We'll put some dark shadows under his eyes and really moody him out. Put some ridges here on the inside of his overcoat, 90s style. Ever considered a Silver Surfer tutorial? I wouldn't be surprised if I do that sometime. I like Silver Surfer. He's definitely a fun character to draw, and that silver texture, metallic texture, is really fun as well. A few more stray hairs. Okay, so I think we're good on the pencils there. So let's flip over to the inks. Going to start with the Pigma Micron 08. I'm going to start with the first chunk of hair in the front because it's in the foreground. I like to work in the foreground and then work my way to the background. Let's see, you go to the Daiso store at Westfield in Santa Ana, but you never find any of the zebra brush pens. Are you looking in both sections of both rows of the stationery aisle? I was at the one over near South Coast Plaza today, over there next to the In-N-Out on MacArthur and Bristol, and they had just the fine tips, not the ultra fine or the broad, but they did have a bunch of the fine tips, which I stocked up on. So I would say check both rows, because I was looking on the regular stationery row and I wasn't seeing the zebra brush pens, and so I flipped around to the second row of stationery that they have, and that's where I found a whole two pegs of Daiso, or not Daiso, I was at the store Daiso, the zebra brush pens. I was a little disappointed that they only had the fine tip and not the ultra fine tip. Those are the two I like to use the most, but I figured get what they got and And, you know, if you never see it there, make sure you ask an employee, see if they have any, if they can order any, because Daiso does still carry the zebra brush pens, at least at the store I often shop at. So now we're just coming in and making the choices with the hair here. Still going with those big graphic chunks, as I mentioned before in the penciling, but also coming in with the hair striations. I don't draw every single hair. That's just not my style. Some people do. You might do that in yours, but for me, I like to just single out certain striations of hair as necessary. But I wouldn't come in here and draw every single hair personally. Not that there's anything wrong with that. If that's the way you illustrate your hair, good for you. Keep at it. You do you. But this is the Todd Nauck approach. Mainly because I'm Todd Nauck and this is the way I draw, but a lot of people kind of do it similar to this. What's the best method of drawing the head, or the method I use? I'm sorry if you came in late to the broadcast. When we're done with this broadcast, if all goes well, it will post to my channel here, and you can come back and rewatch the beginning. And I totally break down the method of how I draw the head. So you'll definitely want to tune back in so you can see that. Like I said, when the finished broadcast posts to my YouTube channel. It's probably better for you just to rewatch that, because then you'll get the info as I go. Oh, sirens going off here. I don't know if y'all can hear those. Do I like the Runaways? Will I ever draw Runaways? Because you know I'm a fan of Marvel. I have enjoyed the comics. I haven't watched the TV show yet. And I have definitely enjoyed the comics, and I might draw some Runaways someday. If you're referring to here on my YouTube channel, I might do that. Do an illustration of one or more of the Runaways. When did I start taking drawing seriously? I think is what the question was there. Hopefully it was fading out just as I looked. So if I misunderstood your question, I apologize, but I'll answer what I think I saw. I started taking drawing seriously, I guess when I was a freshman in high school, when I realized this is what I wanted to do for a career, when I wanted to be a comic book artist for a career, is when I really started to pursue the craft and try to teach myself how to draw comics. All right, so I think we just about got the hair. His hair did. Just add a few more striations through here. Just like that. Do I make my lines look smooth by going piece by piece? Yeah, in a way, yeah. It makes it a little more manageable for me in my inking, and it keeps the hair, you know, it's easier for me to focus on chunks at a time instead of just the entirety of it. Just break it down into bite-sized chunks. I do that for backgrounds. I do that for when I draw a figure, you know, focus on the head. Now focus on of course, I'm keeping the entirety of the illustration in mind as well, not just only the head, then only the shoulders, then only the arms. I have to keep, but that's what the pencil structural stage is for, is to make sure everything fits together. And then as I ink, I just focus on the spot where I'm at, because I know with my pencils I broke down everything where I want it to be, and now I can with my inks, I can just focus on each individual part and really bring that part to life as I desire, and give it the details and attention that it needs. And the smooth lines, that has come with a lot of practice and training my hand. And that's just the repetition of drawing and inking tons and tons and tons and tons of comic pages. My inking style has definitely evolved over the course of my career. And then I was able to get where it evolved to a point where I was able to ink my comics full time. And really, really enjoy it. I really enjoy that part of the process. Bringing those finished lines home, you know. Bringing the finished, I guess, illustration home by picking those lines I want. It's definitely where the rubber meets the road, as they say, for the illustration. Whether it be a commission or a comic book page or a cover. I'm going to come in and fill these black spots in later. First, I want to get all the line work done. Those of you who just tuned in, thank you so much. So glad you're here. Welcome. I'm drawing an illustration for Gabe Eltaib's Comic Kickoff Party number 6 during San Diego Comic-Con weekend on preview night. This piece will be for raffle at that party, and that info will be on social media. I'll hopefully when I post this on my Twitter and Instagram and places like that, I'll also have the flyer for the for info for the party, and the party is to benefit the charity, the Hero Initiative. And so all these pieces that me and the other guest artists will be drawing, will have drawn up, will be for raffle. So you can buy a raffle ticket and then place your raffle tickets on the illustrations that you hope to win. And so each artist is doing at least 4 illustrations. And this is number 1 of 4 for me. And for those of you that have just tuned in and have been missing me here on the YouTubes, really appreciate your patience. I've been working on some big comic book deadlines, and finally got some breathing room here where I'm able to come and do an art broadcast. So I really missed being able to come and hang out with y'all and to draw with y'all and for y'all. So definitely appreciate everyone's patience as well as your support. Still using the 08 Pigma Micron pen for these lines. Probably going with a smaller tipped micron for the facial features. I often like to have shouldn't say always, but I often like to go in with a much smaller nib for the facial features so I can really give them the detail that I want. And so things don't get muddied up. My Nightcrawler is fantastic. Thank you. I really loved drawing that series. It was so much fun. Really enjoyed working with Chris Claremont, drawing one of my favorite X-Men, by one of my favorite X-Men writers. It was definitely a thrill and an honor. Let's get this side of his collar. And we will be doing a Q&A later, if time will allow. So I guess I shouldn't say we definitely will be, but I hope to. I plan to do a Q&A. How about I put it that way? I plan to do a Q&A at the end of this broadcast after I finish the art, so I can address some more of y'all's questions here that I might not be able to catch while I'm focusing so much on the art. I glance over every now and again. Like I just saw Tim Adams post there saying, it looks great as usual. Thank you so much, Tim Adams. Appreciate it. You bought the Captain Marvel shirt from Walmart because it had my work on it. Yeah, thank you. I've seen so many people wearing that Captain Marvel t-shirt taken from that variant cover I drew for Legends Comics here in Northern California. Great shop. If you're in Northern California, like I think it's near the Bay Area, San Francisco area, be sure you stop by and check out their shop. Really great people that run that shop. I see them at the SoCal conventions and occasionally at New York or Chicago. Really great people. So shout out to a really great shop and a really great group of people who really take care of their customers, the good people at Legends Comics in the San Francisco area. Really good friends. Derek and Chris and Phil and everyone there. So I had drawn that Captain Marvel cover for their store. It was their retailer variant. And Marvel ended up taking that cover and licensing it out for the t-shirt, which I thought was pretty cool to see. I actually got one myself. All right, let's see. I'm going to switch it up now to a 0.1 micron. We'll start working on the face here. Going to start with the nose. So as you can see, the diamond shape and the bridge of the nose I used there, I'm using those as guidelines on how I want to create the shape of Gambit's nose here. And now for the nostrils, I guess I should say. We're going to put one on each side. Boom, just like that. What kind of goodies will I have for San Diego Comic-Con? Well, I'll have my usual original comic art and commission style pieces for sale. I'll have some prints for sale, some new prints, and my sketchbooks for sale as well. And all this info is on toddnauck.com. And if you're going to the convention and you want to get a pre-con commission from me, I will be opening that list tomorrow, July 9th, 2019, on toddnauck.com at 6 p.m. Pacific time. So I'll also be doing commission sketches during the con weekend, but if you want one that gets the studio time and attention, then you'll want to get one of my pre-con commissions, and I'll do it here in my studio, ready to hand off to you at my table in Artist Alley. And spots are limited, so make sure you're ready to go when the list opens at 6 p.m. Pacific time tomorrow. If you're going to, and all this info is on toddnauck.com right now, so you can get some of the studio pre-con commission pricing going, or get that information, so you can figure out what it is. See if that's the route you want to go. But I will be doing, that also has a link to my how my con weekend commissions work, which is a different info, different prices. So you'll want to check that out in case you'd rather go that route. And as far as my studio commissions, like my regular studio commission list, that list is still closed. I'm still working on the previous list of studio commissions. So once I take care of that long list, I'll be reopening. I'll be announcing when I'll be taking on new studio commissions, like regular studio commissions. So keep an eye out for that. But that'll be a bit of a ways away, and I'll be sure to announce that on all my social media. So we're getting his eyebrows did. A little bit there on the brow. Now for his eyes. So you like my art style, you have a lot of different styles, but you don't have one that's definitively yours. And I think you're wanting to know how you can find yours. Here's my my take on that. I've said it before in other broadcasts and other videos, but I'm more than happy to share that here tonight. When it comes to art style is just the way we draw. And I think our style is essentially how we like to make our lines, our shapes and our lines to convey whatever it is that we're drawing, whether it be a face, a tree, a mountain, a spaceship, whatever it is. How do we like to make our lines? And those lines to make the shapes, to convey the image you're drawing. And a lot of that style comes from just doing it, you know? And so I say, don't worry about finding your style will find you. Your style will emerge. So the more you devote your time into like creating comic book art, and it's okay if you're influenced by your favorite artists. I think pretty much every comic book creator is. And we all kind of learn from that, learn from our favorite artists, because that's the easiest way to get started. But in some ways, I see that as kind of like our training wheels, especially when we're younger and we're trying to figure out, how to do all this. And there gets to a point where you don't need the training wheels anymore. Like you don't have to sit there with your favorite comic book artist comics on your drafting table while you're drawing your illustrations. You're just kind of going off doing things the way you do. So if you have multiple art styles, which style do you have the most fun drawing in? Which one brings you the most, which one feels the most natural to you? If you can draw like Jim Lee, if you can draw like Bruce Timm, and if you can draw like Alex Ross, those are all three very different styles. And which one is your favorite way to go? And which way do you want to continue to evolve? Just keep in mind that if you're submitting your art at conventions and you're offering an editor all three styles, the editor might hire you based on your Bruce Timm style. But say you prefer drawing in a Jim Lee style, but now you're kind of you could get yourself kind of pigeonholed and stuck in a more animated Bruce Timm style that may not be the way you want to draw all the time. So go with what's most true for you. And it can be a journey. So if you haven't figured that out just yet, that's okay. Just something to keep in mind. Don't worry too much about finding your style. Let your style find you. At least that's been my experience. I was definitely influenced by my favorite artist. I learned a lot from them over many, many years of study and practice. And I'm still inspired by a lot of my favorite artists. The artists I grew up with to artists whose work I enjoy today. But I seek to try to draw the Todd Nauck way and seek new ways to draw as best I can. All right, I think we got our line artwork done. So just going to give this a little moment here to dry so that when I erase these lines, hopefully things won't smear. Got this kneaded art gum eraser, which is good. I need to kind of refresh it. You just kind of take it and you pull it apart and mush it back together to kind of refresh it for some erasing. So, sorry, I'm going to get this out of camera view where I can have a little more strength here. You're 13 and you've been drawing seriously since you were 9 or 10. Right on. You're just starting your art journey. So I wish you all the best. Keep drawing, keep having fun. That's what I often say. Is keep on drawing, keep having fun. So now with this kneaded art gum eraser, I can just take out these structure lines I didn't need. So now you can see the shape of the hair there. So I had each chunk and then the different individual hairlines to pull through there to create that gambity. Gambity. I'm trying to make gambit an adjective. Gambit-like. Create that gambit hair. That beautiful, beautiful gambit hair. And as you see there, how I've done the erasing on the nose there, all those structure lines are gone. And now just the shapes or the lines I wanted, convey those shapes just subtly enough. Have I ever done drawing any comics digitally? I do work digitally, yes. I work partly digitally and then partly traditionally. I do my sketch layouts digitally, and then sometimes I will print those layouts, those layout sketches, print those out in blue line, then pencil traditionally, or I'll do the pencils digitally, and then I'll scan either the traditional pencils or take the digital pencils and print those out in blue line on the artboard and ink digitally, or ink traditionally over blue lines on the artboard. So, so there always is a one-of-a-kind piece of artwork at the end of the day, the finished inked artwork. So I love doing the sketches, the layouts digitally, because it gives me so many more options of how to lay out the page that I couldn't do doing it traditionally because of the tools that I'm offered in the digital format. I can, if I do a really cool shot of Spider-Man on the page, but I realized, now I'm using the Pentel Pocket Brush Pen here to spot the blacks. If I'm doing a page that has Spider-Man on it, and I really like the shot of Spider-Man I drew, but I put him in the wrong place, if I was doing that traditionally, I'd have to erase it and then re-sketch him in. And I might not capture that same magic or flavor that I put down the first time. It's a risk that I run. But now if I do it digitally and he's in the wrong place or he's the wrong size, I can just select him and then drag him, enlarge him, make him smaller, whatever I need to do. So it gives me so many more options in the digital layouts. And I think I saw Art Tiber post a comment there. How's it going, Art? Art Tiber is one of the artists that I met and worked with at Rob Liefeld's Extreme Studios. We both worked for Rob back in the 90s. Welcome, Art. Appreciate you stopping by. So I'm just gonna fill in all these little black spots that have the X there. It's just the inker's shorthand for fill this in with black later. Thanks for the kind words, gang. So glad you like what you see. Make sure you leave a thumbs up on my video if you like what you see. Appreciate that support. Appreciate everyone subscribing as well. And if you're new and you haven't subscribed yet, please feel free to subscribe. Then hit that little bell icon so you can set your notifications so you don't miss out on future live streams and art videos I'll be posting. Let's see, I think someone said if I could challenge y'all, I'm assuming you young artists that are watching, with a character or object to draw, what would it be? And you know what? That's really fun, and I'm just off the top of my head gonna throw this out there. So I'm gonna challenge you with the character Spider-Man, and the object, I'm gonna give you an object to do, much like Tony G-Man Guerrero will do for the Mysterious Art Combos, formerly Mystery Art Challenge, which you might have seen me appear on his videos. So I'm going to give you a character and an object, and then you've got to draw that. So I'm going to give you the character, Spider-Man, and the object, a slice of pizza. Spider-Man and a slice of pizza. Draw it up and have fun with it. And if you post it online, be sure to tag me so I can come take a look at it. I'll try to leave a comment if I can. Can't make any promises, but I'll do what I can. So I'm going to use the zebra brush pen, which I was mentioning before, to adjust the headgear here. Just needed to slender it out just a smidge. And then let's see, I need to fill, I'm going to use it also just for the control, finer control, the nib there for the black of his eyes. Just gives me a little more control so I don't lose that almond shape of his eye. And it's almost Copic time, gang. So we're about 2/3 of the way through the video. Pizza, now you're hungry. You're welcome, Art. I know, I'm hungry too. Maybe that's why I suggested pizza. Pizza time. It's pizza day. Hooray for pizza day. All right, so let's grab the Copic markers. We're gonna let this dry a little bit. What pen was this? This was the Zebra brush pen, the one I was talking about at the beginning of this broadcast that can be purchased at Daiso Japan stores, which are in selected parts of the country, mostly the West Coast and I think as far east as Texas. I know they have some in Dallas, Texas. So Daiso is how you spell Daiso. It's a Japanese, essentially it's like a dollar store, but everything's $1.50 unless otherwise priced. So you can get these markers for $1.50. I see these for sale like for $4, $5, $6 online, but getting them at Daiso Japan for $1.50, I go in and buy them by the handfuls. So it's a disposable brush pen. It's not refillable, so when it dies, it's gone, it's dead. But for $1.50, eh. All right. Let me just test this here, make sure the ink is dry. It looks like it's pretty dry. Some spots still look a little wet, so I'll need to be careful as I color here. So I'm going to call out the Copic codes as I color. So we're going to start with the hair first. I'm going to start with a little, I'm going to start with a dark shade here, the E89. Oh, Art, you're only coming to San Diego Comic-Con for one day? Make sure you stop by the tables, me and Norm Ratman, fellow Extreme Studios mate, and say hi. So I'm going to use this dark shade of brown here for the part and for the underside of the flip of his hair. Maybe a little bit from out here. We're going to go lighter as we go. What day? What day will I? Oh, what? You're probably asking a question of Art. What day he will be at San Diego Comic-Con? I'll be at San Diego Comic-Con all 5 days, preview night through Sunday. So Wednesday through Sunday. So you can find me at Artist Alley table II01. Have I seen Dark Phoenix? No, I haven't. You see that hasn't been getting good reviews. I've been hearing that as well. The X-Men Apocalypse movie didn't really grab me. So and since I've been hearing, what we need is now that was it Marvel has gotten the X-Men back through that Fox deal. That's what I want. I want the X-Men in the MCU. I think we'll really get some really cool X-Men stories with them being a part of the MCU. I'd love to see some X-Men and other Marvel character team-ups. So now let's power down to the E57. It's a lighter shade of brown. We're going to go over that darker shade of brown with this lighter shade of brown so they kind of blend together. And now I'm keeping in mind the light hitting in a rim around his hair here. So I'm going to keep some white part of the board available as I go. I'll be coming in with one more shade of brown that will eat a lighter shade as we go here. So, so I'm keeping that in mind as well. You'd love to see a Wolverine Spidey team-up movie. I would enjoy that as well. You want a Gambit movie so bad. Yeah, hopefully with the Disney deal and Disney being able to bring the X-Men into the Marvel Studios cinematic universe, we'll hopefully get that. I'd love to see an Excalibur movie. You know, that I think that should be a while. You know, really establish the X-Men in the MCU first, and then do a spin-off of Kitty Pryde and Nightcrawler with Captain Britain and Rachel Summers and Megan and Widget. So now I'm going to bring in some E55. Some E55 as my lightest shade. Still want to leave some of that white of the board in there for that healthy sheen of hair. But I'm coloring over the previous two colors I'd laid down so that this ink will all merge together and blend in a nice kind of almost watercolor-like sort of way. That's the nice thing about Copic markers is the inks are made to blend together. There we go. Dang, what shampoo does Gambit use? I think he probably uses that Aussie shampoo. What's it called? Aussie something or other. It's mostly marketed towards women, but you know, it's not going to let him stop him. He's going to want the best product he can for his hair. So now I'm using the E00 to start dropping in his skin tones. And I'm keeping in mind the planes of his face. And by planes, I mean each angle, like underneath the eye, the cheekbone, the upper lip, the lower lip, the part above the upper lip, the chin. All these parts are each different shapes. So I'm going to want to render keeping that in mind and where the light would hit. And pretty much the light seems to be coming from above, which will really help for when we start dropping in the shadows to create some really moodiness underneath his eyes and hair. So really study people's faces, gang. Learn those shapes. Have you ever played around with purple shadows? I have digitally, not with Copics. At least, not yet. I'm going to come in with a little darker shade, a little E01. You have an idea for a mashup fan art? Crash Bandicoot and Rocket Raccoon. Right on. That sounds like it could be pretty fun. I'm sure you'll have a great time drawing that. It's fun to get creative like that. So now I'm coming in with some E11 now, a little darker shade. Not necessarily my shadow color, but it is some colors I like to use to render out the face. So now I'm coming with some R20. Gonna add some rosiness to his nose here. Don't forget his right ear. Yes, it's a little hidden under there. I dropped in a little E00, but I should probably come back in with some which E was that? E11. A little bit on the R20 on the lips. Let's go ahead and take care of that right ear. Let's bring that E11 in there. There we go. Now let's come in with some R11. Much lighter shade of pink. Gonna bring this through his cheeks here. Have I ever drawn Cindy Moon, aka Silk? Yes, I have. I did a mini-series called The Amazing Spider-Man and Silk, The Spiderfly Effect. It's in trade paperback now, and it's also available to read on the Marvel Universe app if you have a Marvel Universe account. So be sure to check that out. And I also got to do help out with Spider-Geddon issue 3, and I got to draw Silk in those 5 pages I helped out on. And I also did a couple of Silk variant covers also. All right, now I'm going to come in with some E000. Just kind of blend all this together. When I say study people's faces, do I mean like people watching or Googling people for random references? Sorry, I couldn't read your whole question there. It disappeared before I could finish. But yeah, no, I'm saying look at photos of people's faces. Take a photo of your own face or a family member's face or a friend's face, and just look at faces from different angles. So that's what I mean by studying them. So I'm going to use a little bit E11 here on the inside of his ear. Just a little bit. All right, so now let's color his the collar of his jacket, and we're gonna gonna use some light browns. Let's start with some E34. I think it's gonna be a nice shade of early 90s tan. So this is a darker shade of tan that I'll be using, so I'm going to put it on the bottom sides of the ridges of his collar. And now I'm going to power that down to an E31 next. And blend that E34 with the E31. I like using the lighter shade of a color as the blending marker more so than using a colorless blender. I find I get better results using the lighter shade of any given color that I'm working with as my blending tool. It gives me deeper saturation of color into the paper, which gives it a more vibrant color, vibrant look, which I really like how that looks with the finished product. Just my personal preference and approach. Okay, that takes care of that. And we just get a little bit of the top of his shirt underneath. I'm going to go ahead and just drop in some BG34 here. Kind of that turquoisey color, just a little bit. BG34, come in with a little BG09. Actually need to get a little darker teal in there. Now let's go back to that BG34 and blend that darker shade on through. Cool. Now let's drop some reds in his irises. Going with the R27. I'm going to follow that up with some R24. Yeah, I'm sorry I can't catch everyone's question right now. I'm sure I've missed a lot, and hopefully there's time to do a Q&A here at the end of this broadcast, and I can address more questions. Bring the E89 in here into giving some color to his eyebrows. Let's see, you want to become a concept artist for video games. Should you learn traditional or digital? I don't work in the video game field, so I can't speak to that. But I figure anything you can learn is going to be beneficial for you just art-wise. So more likely you'll probably need to utilize both. But since I don't work in the video game field, I can't speak with any authority on that. All right, so let's color up his headgear, and I'm going to want to use some neutral grays. So I'm going to start with a neutral gray 6. I think will be just dark enough to get things started without losing the line art. If I use too dark of a shade of neutral gray, or any gray, these little hash lines would disappear, would be too hard to read. But a neutral 6 is just dark enough, but just mid-range enough to where it gives us a dark feel without stealing away the line art. And I'm keeping in mind the shape like of the neck muscles and how those lines would want to, or that color shape would want to pull down and away. And now let's lighten that up to a neutral 4. Leaving a little tiny white right there on the little clavicle bones, just as a little tiny highlight. Just a little thoughtful detail there. Okay, that takes care of the grays of his headgear. Now we need to put in some real life shadows, and I like to use cool grays for that. So we're going to start with the skin, and we're going to do some cool gray 1 as our initial gray. It's a very light shade, doesn't overpower the skin, because I can always go darker if I need to. I love to use cool grays because it gives a real nice realistic shadow to the character. So you can see there, it's already starting to flesh out. Gonna put a lot of gray up under his eyes as well to give that real mystery, moody sort of look. Might even go with a darker gray here in a little bit, but this is just our initial layer underneath the nose, where that muscle pulls from the nose down to the cheek, keeping that in mind. Underneath that lip there, in fact underneath that top lip. Because if the light's coming down, anything on the underneath is going to be where the shadow would fall. Inside that ear. Okay, now I definitely need to go a little darker here. I'm really going to punch it up with a cool gray 3. Especially for these eyes. I really want that moody, sunken look shadow underneath his eyes. That real swarthy sort of, almost Jack Sparrow piratey sort of look. Cool gray under the corners there. A little bit right there underneath the lip, a little bit right there at the bottom of the chin. Even put a little bit here in the iris, just underneath the eyelid. So you can see with the cool grays, it really helps sculpt out and shape out the face and the character. It really starts to, I think, come even more to life. And I'm going to continue with this cool gray 3 to drop in some shadows here on the collar of his jacket. A little bit through the top of his shirt there. In fact, I think that teal is a little too teal. I think I need a little bit more of a blue in there. So I'm going to bring in some B01. It's a very light shade of blue just to kind of tamp down that green. It's a little too green for my taste. Should be a little more bluish. All right, and I need to put a little bit of gray in his hair there. Just shadow out his hair just a smidge. Just gonna let this gray ink blend with these browns. Don't need to do a lot, but just a little bit just to keep everything, just so the gray and the hair, not that I'm giving him gray hair, but the shadows kind of line up with what I've done on his face and jacket and the top of his shirt. Definitely want it underneath that that flip there to really create that depth. Maybe just a little bit of this cool gray 4 is what I've been using here. Maybe just a little bit more underneath his eyes. Just to create even more depth, more of that recess to his eyes there. A little bit more underneath the chin. In fact, I want to use a little more. I'm going to use some cool gray 2 to really accentuate the stubble. Really give that sense of the 5 o'clock shadow. Okay, so we're almost done here. Well, what I want to do is, because his energy signature is pink, when he charges something up, and just to give us a little bit of a kind of a graphic element, I'm going to give him an outline here, just to give a little more color to the page and a little pop off the page. And looks like we're getting close to the end of this illustration, but I do plan to do the Q&A, so do stick around for that. I'll try to tackle a handful of questions. I can't promise I can answer every question, but I'll try to answer as many as I feel that I can, feel that I'm able to. So, so do feel free to stick around for that. In fact, let's use a little bit of this pink in the lighter part of his eye there. And then let's see, grab my micron again, my 08, and put my signature on here. And the month is, what is today? Today is July. Today is the 8th, right? 2019. So there we go. There's Gambit. Let me pull back here a little bit so you can see him in his entirety. That was a lot of fun to draw, and like I said, this will be up for auction at Gabe El-Tayyib's Comic Kickoff Party on preview night of San Diego Comic-Con. So let me flip the camera around and we'll try to tackle a few questions, so feel free to start punching those in, gang. Hey, all right, let me readjust the rig here. Appreciate your patience. Ew. There we go. Yep. All right, so yeah, Gambit. This will be for raffle. So if you're going to be at San Diego Comic-Con and you're there for preview night, come to the Gabe El-Tayyib Comic Kickoff Party. And I'll be posting a shot of this on my social media, and also have the party flyer with all the information about where it's at, what time it is. It's free admission to the party. You just buy raffle tickets, and then you just place the raffle tickets on the artwork you want to hopefully win. And this will definitely be one of the pieces among there. And I'll be doing 3 more pieces. Hopefully I'll be doing those all as live art broadcasts as well. And right now the plan is maybe do some more spend. So stay tuned. Hopefully I'll be able to live broadcast those. Guesstimate, how much will it go for? It's a raffle. So it depends on how many people put their raffle ticket in on this Gambit piece. Each artist is doing 4 illustrations. There's 6 guests, so 6 times 4 is, so it'll be 24 pieces of art on the Gabe El-Tayyib Comic Kickoff 6 artboard. So yeah, so if you're going to be there, I wish y'all the best of luck. And you can dump as many raffle tickets in on whichever illustration you hope to win. So if you buy 20 raffle tickets, you can put them all in on Gambit in hopes that maybe your ticket will be drawn. Can you see some of my art from when I was in middle school? I don't know if I saved much of my middle school art. I didn't really start saving my art, keeping my art, until I was in high school and started pursuing a career in comics. That's when I started keeping a lot of my art. So I don't know if I have any of my art from when I was in middle school, but if I do ever find a piece, I hope I would be able to share that with you. Let's see, what paper do I use with the blue lines? I don't use any paper that is pre-ruled. My Bristol board is blank. In fact, I have a packet right here. I use this Strathmore Bristol board, smooth. Of course, all the text is backwards for you, but it is completely blank. No registration marks on it, because I print my pencils out onto these in blue line and then ink over them. So I don't need the registration marks because I have that all prepared when I go to print it out on the artboard. Am I going to be cosplaying it for SDCC? Yes, I'll at least be doing my Peter B. Parker cosplay on Saturday of SDCC. I might be doing casual cosplays the other days, usually my Scott Summers, my Sean Spencer from Psych, something like that. Any plans on attending Baltimore Comic Con? I'd love to be a guest there, so hopefully they'll invite me sometime. Let's see, you think I said it earlier, but when would I be open for commissions again? I don't know. It's a long list. It's going to be quite a while from now, probably a few years before I open up for studio commissions again. But when I do, I'll be posting that info. So sorry, gang. Be posting that info on my website and social media. How do I determine the light source? It just, for a piece like this, just whatever feels fun. Usually it's oftentimes from above, but if I want a light source from a different direction to create a different mood or a different idea, then I'll pick that accordingly. Any advice for time management and overexhaustion? Example, school, work, practice, art, putting work out. I don't know if I have any specific advice for that. It is a challenge, and we all kind of learn depending on who we are, because it's different for every person. But doing illustrations and drawing comic book art, that is a test of endurance, because we're drawing all time, all day, every day. So that's why we say practice. You got to keep practicing, because the more you can draw, the more you're able to find time to draw, the more you're able to build up that art stamina, because we work physically, we work mentally, and that's why it's so exhausting. And oftentimes at conventions, we're just so exhausted because we're putting out not just physical and mental energy, we're also putting out relational energy. So oftentimes we can really get worn out. And so conventions can really take a toll on us comic creators, especially if we're working the artist alley. But you do your best to kind of build up that strength and endurance. So how to manage that with school? Like when I was in art school, I worked a part-time job, at least 20 or more hours a week, did full-time art school, plus teaching myself how to draw comics on top of that. So I had to make some sacrifices. So I didn't really go out all that much. I had friends and I'd hang out with them every now and again, but a lot of times I would stay home on a Saturday night and I would be drawing, because I had a dream, I had a goal that I wanted to get to. So I made sacrifices so I could put the time I needed into what I wanted to do to get to where I wanted to be, which was drawing comics professionally. So I wish you all the best. I hope you're able to kind of find the balance that you need in your time management. Let's see, what did they ask you when I applied for your job? Did they look at the quality of your art, or did they see if you're at conventions selling work? When I tried to break in to comics, it was the early 1990s. Conventions weren't what they are nowadays exactly, with these ginormous artist alleys. But I didn't apply for my job. There was no place where I filled out an application and sent it in. I took my portfolio, showed them to editors, any editor that was available and willing to take a look at portfolios. I appreciate every editor that would actually take the time to take a look at my portfolio and give me a critique. And starting off, I got a lot of brutal critiques. There was a lot I needed to work on, so they really, they really had a lot to say, like, work on this, fix this, Here's some things you're doing right, and here's all the things you're doing wrong. But I would take that information, apply it to my next batch of pages, just kept trying to level up bit by bit by bit until I got to a point when editors saw something in me that they thought, I wasn't perfect, but I was good enough for them to take a shot on. And that led to my first, assignments. Still had a lot to learn, still a lot to grow in. And then when Rob Liefeld discovered my mini comics, my homemade mini comics I made of my own characters, my creator-owned mini comics, that's what got me hired full time. Because he saw my passion, he saw the spark in my work, and he wanted that for his studio. And then that's what got me my full-time gig. And then from there, I was able to make contacts at DC Comics, where I got Young Justice and Teen Titans, and from there moved on to Marvel Comics, where I started working on Spider-Man, and I've been doing that for the past 13 years. So yeah, it's really the quality of work. Can you tell a story visually? Can you draw in a pleasing way? Something that the editors think people will want to see this and like buy the comic, and can you meet deadlines? So you need those three factors, and can you also be pleasant to work with? If you can have a combination of any of those factors, then you stand a chance at maybe getting an assignment, and hopefully that leads to more. Tackle a couple more questions, then I got to sign off, gang. Let's see, what would I say would be a minimum amount of hours to draw every day to get better? Alternatively, how often did you practice to draw to get better? For me, I have a love and passion for drawing, have it ever since I was a little kid. So I devoted any and all free time, and like I said before, making sacrifices of certain opportunities to draw. It's a lifelong journey. It's a lifelong process. My art has evolved over the entire course of my life because I'm always studying, always learning new things, trying new things, learning new ways to draw things. So it's continually evolving, and it hopefully will continue to evolve in years to come, because I don't want to get stale. I don't want to stagnate. I want to try to level up my game as much as possible. So minimum number of hours, that's different for every person. I would say don't focus on them. I would say, how much can you fit in? What do you have time for? Do it. If you have a choice between drawing or playing video games, maybe put it towards drawing. It's okay to take a break and play video games. There's nothing wrong with that. But are you avoiding drawing? If you find yourself avoiding drawing, maybe that's when you need to draw, because you got to push through. You got to push through the pain to reach that next level. So that's what I would say. Hopefully that helps you. Any chance I could draw Cosmic Spidey versus the Sentry? I would say it's not out of the realm of possibility, not something that was on my radar, but you never know what the future might hold. Tackle a couple more questions here. When creating my pages, do I ink over pencils or convert them to blue line? I convert them to blue line. Sometimes I'm now starting to draw digitally, so the pencils are digital, so I just print those out in blue line on the artboard and then ink those digital pencils. Sometimes I still pencil traditionally. I'll scan those in, print them out on the blue line on the artboard, just because it makes it a lot easier. I don't have to worry about smudging, and just makes my workday go faster and cleaner. Have I ever worked on a movie? No, I have not, but I have been an extra on a movie set. The very, very first Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man, starring Tobey Maguire, I was an extra at the big crowd scene. In fact, I don't think any footage that attacks the Macy Gray World Unity Festival with all the big balloons and stuff, I was on that set. Me and my wife, my sister, her friends, and my sister actually got us into this. She was taking some friends who were visiting sightseeing in Hollywood, and they came across this person who was signing up people to come be extras in this big crowd scene. And it was one of the last few days they'd be filming this scene. And so my sister signed herself up, her friends, and me and Don. And so we went out and spent a full day on this set, just running around pretending to be scared. It was a lot of fun to do. And I wished I had shown up in the movie, didn't, but it was cool to at least be a part of it. So that's the closest I have come to being a part of any superhero movie. Let's see. Is there an opportune time of day for you to draw? Like what time of the day do you really hit your stride? Do you ever put drawings up in your room like posters? Do your kids ask you to draw stuff? One, I don't have kids, so they're never asking me to draw stuff because they don't exist. Two, I don't really put my drawings up in my room like a poster, though I'm not opposed to it. I just haven't done that yet, though I do want to hang up the cover I did, the Hunt for Wolverine cover that got made into a poster. I would like to frame that and put that up because that was a really fun piece to do and took a lot of time to do. So a lot of fun and joy went into creating that piece. So that'd be fun to see up on the wall. And then 3, opportune time of the day. For me, it's all day, every day, baby. I draw, really, I try to, as normal of a 9 to 5 job as work day as I can. It rarely goes from 9 to 5. Usually I work well into the evening, and oftentimes I'm having a late dinner. Sometimes I work through the middle of the night just because that's what needs to be done. So, but when I was younger, I would draw whenever there was no opportune time of the day. When do I hit my stride? Usually an hour or 2 into getting the day started is when I get warmed up and I'm rocking the pages. So, but different days, different situations, different strides hit. But it's mainly get the job done, meet that deadline, and have a lot of fun in the process. Do comic book artists struggle financially? Maybe. Sometimes, yes. I mean, doing comic book art is like doing almost any other job. It's just you get to have a lot of fun. A full-time living can be made doing comic books. I do. I've been doing comics as a full-time career for the past 25 years. And I'm very thankful for that. So it can be a viable career. It all depends on the artist and how one manages their money as far as that, and sometimes life happens and, you have hospital bills, and then sometimes you're struggling, and that is the point of the Hero Initiative. They're taking care of the forerunners of the comic book industry, the creators from the 60s and 70s who created the works that inspired me and other artists. As they get older, we don't have 401ks in our industry. We're freelance artists, so the Hero Initiative is there to help the older generations, and maybe one day I'll be in that. I'll have aged into that older generation where they help creators out who, run into some financial difficulties because of hospital bills, because they're older and the body starts to shut down a bit. So they're there to help them out with rent or mortgages or groceries, bills. It's a really great charity. And I'm, of course, this being my career and my passion, definitely happy to help out the Hero Initiative. So that's what this party is for, is to help out the forerunners of the comic book industry and the generations to come as we age into those golden years. So can there be struggles? Absolutely, absolutely. Are we starving artists in that stereotypical sense? I don't know. There might be some out there. Hopefully not. If they are, I hope they're able to snag a sandwich. But me, I'm very blessed. I'm very thankful, and I appreciate everyone's support. And with that, gang, I need to sign off. I'm actually starving. Go eat dinner myself. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, and I look forward to drawing with y'all again. Stay tuned. I hopefully will be doing another live broadcast this week to draw another. See, I've got these comic kickoff party boards to do more illustrations on. So Gambit's just the tip of the iceberg. So I'll be hopefully doing another. I plan on doing an X-Men theme. I'd like, right now, unless things change, I plan on doing 4 X-Men illustrations to be raffled off at the comic kickoff party on preview night of San Diego Comic-Con. Be sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter, where I'll be posting this image here maybe tonight or early tomorrow with a flyer for the party as well. Thanks so much for hanging out. Make sure you subscribe, mash that subscribe button, and adjust your notifications accordingly. Make sure you click like, and feel free to post a comment. Let me know what your thoughts. And hopefully I'll see y'all again real soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.